that's so spot on, and you hit on my next question. I'm still going to ask it. For state lobbyists, they're always looking for opportunities to show their value to their clients, right? And I don't know if a lot of state lobbyists are looking at this and identifying opportunities to bring value back home. They should be if they're not. And I know you touched on having clients bring projects to local governments, because you're absolutely right. A lot of local governments do not have that kind of long-term vision. And that's not a criticism. They're operating on a day-to-day sort of, let's get through this day, let's make sure this is done. And they don't have a lot of time for visioneering. And so some are really kind of scrambling to figure out, how to spend this money in an impactful way. And so to the extent that private entities can bring ideas, that's value there. What role, in your opinion, Jarrod, do state lobbyists play in helping their clients, take advantage of this? And what can state lobbyists be doing to create some value where their competitors may not be?
So, state lobbyists are critical, right? Because one, ARPA, states have their own, an American Rescue Plan Act. Sorry, I'm using the acronyms, but ARPA is sending money to states to build projects and do things. And so, yes, your clients need people who do what you already do, which is you help navigate state government. I think the difference, though, is you're on the agency side. I think for a lot of lobbyists, they spend time in the legislature, right? When the legislature is out of session, they're out of session, right? Now, I think that's bad lobbying, right? Number one, when you tell people you're a lobbyist, that means you know how to understand government, right? And government is, for at least the lobbyist purposes, two branches. Obviously, government's three branches. But the two primary branches for you are both the legislature, but also executive branch. And I will say that in my experience with a lot of lobbyists, they don't build the same expertise or spend the same level of effort and energy and time understanding the inner workings of state agencies, which I think is vital when it comes to money, because the legislature is appropriating money that these agencies spend. And there's discretion around how agencies use these dollars. And so when it comes to ARPA, as an example, there's a lot of money that's flowing to your health agencies, right? Your public health agencies, your transportation agencies. There was broadband money there too, right? There are lots of dollars. Now, the terms, in many cases, are set by the legislature in terms of how it can be spent, which is, again, another potential area where lobbyists can show their value at the state level. The infrastructure bill, even bigger, right? And the numbers are larger in terms of how much money is going to these states. The state, the transportation money, so that's the road, surface transportation block grant money, electric vehicle money, all those things. So somebody that's going to listen to this is lobbying for the electric vehicle industry, right? Okay, right? This is your Super Bowl, right? Is how do you get money? Because much of it, not all, but much of it's going to flow through a Department of Transportation. So your state DOT is important. Again, if you got port dollars, many states have port authorities, right? And they are the ones who then go after dollars that they in turn provide to some of their state ports. So again, if you're involved in a port, let's say you might be a company that's at a port, and you're saying, and I have a client where we've had this conversation where it's like, look, you're located at ports. You're leasing your space. You want upgrades to the facilities at that port. You should be talking directly to your port authority right now and asking them, are they going to apply for the Port Investment Development Grant? And if so, what do they intend to include in the application? They should, in my world, I'm like, hey, make sure that the improvements that they're asking for help you too. Mm-hmm. And again, what do they need in order to put an application together? Projects. Mm-hmm. So that's state, right? You have state port authorities around the country. Broadband is, I think, another example where these, in many cases, relatively new state offices of broadband are expending millions of dollars and putting those out there. You need to know and understand who that player is and what they do. I think in Alabama might be a DECA, might have a broadband office there. I don't know how many. Spend some time figuring out who got hired. What are they doing? What plans are they putting together? Do they have your communities in mind when they're building out their statewide broadband plan. I know that if I were in Alabama and I represented the Black Belt in the state of Alabama, I would be acutely familiar with what was going on with that broadband plan that they're going to submit to NTIA, because you want to make sure that your areas are covered, right? That the maps that they're submitting reflect the reality on the ground in these communities, because the dollars will flow from the maps. The plan will flow from the maps. So that's not happening in Washington. That's happening in Montgomery, right? And so if this is the work that you do, you got to be in the mix. HBCUs, obviously got the Clark Atlanta shirt on. My wife went to Clark Atlanta. I went to Morehouse. I'm from Orangeburg. I grew up on 2 HBCU campuses. I care deeply about HBCUs. And when I think about the opportunities, broadband, big deal for our institutions. Absolutely. But you've got opportunities down the road, for example, around the Bipartisan Innovation Act, which I think will become law, that we have to be engaged. So if these are your clients, you need to be like telling them, like, look, these are the key players in state government that are putting dollars out there for you to take advantage of. But it's like knowing state senator or representative so-and-so is okay. But you really need to know that career staffer over in the environmental quality agency who's administering that revolving loan fund for water. Because you need to understand what their utilization plan says that they went from the EPA, which helps you understand how they're going to spend the money in your state. So there's no shortage of opportunities where if you've got expertise in how these state agencies work, that's exactly what people need, because so much money is going to flow through the states.
We're just going to put an asterisk on that, Jarrod. Now is the time to have those agency relationships at the state level, because so much of this money is coming down through the states. And if as a state lobbyist, if you don't know those answers and your client finds out they missed out, they're going to blame you. And they should. Yeah, and they should. Last question, Jarrod, I'm so appreciative of your time today, but any other big federal packages that, are in the pipeline that state lobbyists need to be aware of or thinking about?
Absolutely. So you got the FY22 budget, which I think was approved last week. So you have massive opportunities, right? And again, so many dollars flow through states. And many of the dollars that go from Washington to states are in block grants to state agencies. And so, again, knowing how to navigate those state agencies that receive those block grants, I think is vital. Every state lobbyist worth their salt should be doing that, right? And understanding what's a part of or what's in that budget. The other thing that I'm very personally excited about is the Bipartisan Innovation Act, which is the largest single investment in research and development and building our domestic tech economy, as well as, I think, semiconductor chips. And there's a whole bunch of foreign policy stuff that's probably not directly relevant to a lot of the folks who'll be listening in. But this is a fantastic economic development play and opportunity, I think, for a lot of state lobbyists, because so much of the money that's going to come from this legislation, I think this is key for a group like National Black Lobbyists, is through diversity in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, and getting your K through 12 school district clients engaged. These are dollars that can go for all kinds of things for students that we should all be thrilled that we're doing this, but we also need to be navigating our clients to these resources. Another one is that Bipartisan Innovation Act we have never spent as much money as we're about to spend, should this bill pass, I think it will, on the R&D capacity of our historically Black colleges and universities. Again, massive opportunity where every HBCU, no matter how small or large, should be viewing this as a potentially transformative opportunity to build your R&D, which is great for your students and your faculty. But when you are creating research that you can then commercialize and make money, that's a revenue stream for our institutions. And all of our institutions can use an extra dollar and an extra opportunity to find ways to tap into large federal contracts and to commercialize the research that's happening on their campuses. And I think the Bipartisan Innovation Act does just that. So again, this is an opportunity where read the bill, y'all. Don't just read Politico. This is free. The internet's free. Well, it's not free, paying for the internet, but like going online to find any information is free. Lobbyists, y'all get paid well by your clients. Print it out, get the highlighter, and like get into it and find those opportunities. Because I'm going to tell you, as someone who's been doing this long enough, I beat lobbyists every day because I print the bill out and I read it. And I read it 4 or 5 times before I start talking about it. And if you just reading Politico, you ain't going to get it, right? And so, I would urge folks to find those FY22 opportunities for your clients and to be on the lookout for a conference committee around the Bipartisan Innovation Act sometime between now and Easter. And the House and Senate are going to meet to iron out their differences in, let's say, May, June. You'll see legislation, I think, on President Biden's desk before Congress leaves for the summer and the end of July. And again, this is a massive opportunity that I know I'm preparing my client. You know this, Terry, because we work together. I'm getting my clients together now. I'm like, we ain't got time to wait. Don't wait until a bill is passed before you start getting your clients ready. If the bill ultimately doesn't pass, fine. You did your job because you were getting it prepared. But if you're getting your clients ready after a bill is passed, you're not good at your job, right? Like, you should find something else to do because this is not for you. Good lobbyists get your clients prepared well before the opportunity comes. Because even when you do that, there's still so much work afterwards. So get your clients ready. But those are 2 major opportunities on the horizon. Well, one's already law. The other one I think will be law soon.
It's come, Jarrod. I'm going to stick your email address up here on the screen. And for anybody who wants to reach out to Jarrod, and this is how you contact him. He's with Ice Miller, a firm out of DC. Jarrod, thank you so much for your time and your wisdom and knowledge. We're happy to have you as a member of NBPLA. So we look forward to continue to work with you. And everybody, this is the first of many new interviews and sit downs that we'll have with NBPLA members, giving them an opportunity to share their expertise. So if you're interested in allowing me a few minutes to chat with you, please reach out to me. We'd love to have you and host you on this series. And with that, we will sign off. Until next time.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.